Hello. Welcome back, my friends. Welcome to the Shaman Circle. We are here in our official first episode, episode 1, the origin story of Lonewolf District. Before we completely dive into the deep end of spirituality and shamanism, I think it's important to share what Lonewolf District is, why it is, and why this podcast even exists. So I'm going to take some time to share my role in this community, how this community came to be in the first place, and what I'm hoping to achieve with this podcast, with the Shaman Circle. So this podcast is a new avenue within Lonewolf District, which I am the owner, CEO, founder, community steward of, whatever label you want to give me. And over the last several years, we've evolved a lot. I've evolved a lot as a business owner. I've evolved a lot as a community steward, and our community has evolved a lot right along with me. So we started with, weddings and special events. That was my very first job straight out of college. And then throughout the pandemic, when things got virtual, I went through a bunch of different virtual trainings. I started creating this virtual community, and now, 5 years later, I've got clients in 5 different continents. So our work now focuses a lot on all things spirituality, really, from Reiki healing, Reiki sessions, and Reiki trainings, to yoga classes. I'm a certified yoga instructor as well. We have our community gatherings and engagements. We have a community hub online filled with different types of empowerment and embodiment circles and things like that. And so our work at this point within Lonewolf District really focuses on healing the self. Now, the name Lonewolf District came to be in August of 2018. It was right before I hit rock bottom while I was living in Philly. And that is a story for another time. I think it's actually the story for the next episode. But I was miserable working at a company that didn't care about me and that I didn't care too much about either, to be honest with you. And I was working on some things on the side, and I had some cool creative new friends in the city, and I was just starting to brainstorm of what can I do that's not corporate? And this concept of Lonewolf District came to be. I was alone and sad in a city that I didn't know too many people in, and those cool creative friends I had were kind of surface level and not friends that I could, cry and say I missed home with. And so I was really lonely. There's no other way around it. I was very lonely while living in Philly. And I finally got to a point where I said to myself, I can't be the only person who feels this way. I can't feel like the only person who feels alone in a city of millions of people. I can't feel like I'm the only person who feels like the odd man out or like the lone wolf in the room. And then something clicked and I was like, oh, lone wolf. I'm originally from Maryland. Washington, D.C. is not too close. And so I started thinking is it like a lone wolf community? What is it? And something clicked, and finally, after a little bit of brainstorming, this concept of Lonewolf District, we had the name. And then from the name, a bit of an evolution happened pretty naturally, actually. So the idea with Lonewolf District was not at all originally to be a teacher and a healer and a community leader and all of these things. I wanted to make t-shirts. That's what I wanted to do with Lonewolf District. I wanted to make some cool concepts and find a cool graphic designer and do some cool photo shoots in Old Philly and South Philly and on South Street. And I wanted to make t-shirts. Well, after about a week of walking through the streets of Philly and looking at different things for inspiration and chatting with someone that I went to college with that I knew did graphic design on the side, the more I started to kind of walk down this path, I very quickly realized this isn't just supposed to be a t-shirt company. Lonewolf District is much bigger than just shirts. No idea where that was taking me, but I knew it was bigger than what I was thinking. And I think subconsciously at that time, I knew Lonewolf District was bigger than me. I have learned a lot from that very first, aha, this is bigger than I think, up until, now, almost a decade later. And I quite honestly think that might be another story for another time. I could give you a whole dissertation of what I've learned as a business owner in the last several years. So I do want to switch gears for just a moment here and share why, through this whole transition, through this whole evolution, why I now find myself wanting to make this podcast. And I shared in our little trailer in episode 0, I kept getting this little nudge, and I kept getting this little nudge every time I felt like something was misaligned or incomplete in a space that I found myself. And I found myself seeing a need for many different things, to be honest with you, in the different spiritual and wellness spaces that I found myself in and that I knew about. I saw a need for more voices of color, specifically voices from Black women. I saw a need for a lot more authenticity and a lot less Instagram bullshit. I saw a need for more spiritual sovereignty, and I saw a real lack of freedom to express oneself within their own spiritual practice. I'm gonna say now, speaking of sovereignty and spiritual creative freedom, if you're someone that is like very rigid, follows things by the books, you're probably not gonna like this shit. Let me just say it right now. I've already had a couple cuss words. Let me just throw another one at you. My friend, this might not be for you. It may not resonate with you. We're gonna get into some deep shit here that asks you to be curious about creative and spiritual expression. We're going into healing the self, and that's a big responsibility. These podcasts, these episodes, these words, this wisdom, this dialogue, it's for the lone wolves, right? It's for the weirdos, it's for the witches, it's for the rebels, it's for the spiritually attuned and the racially conscious. It's for those of us who want to tap into our divine feminine energy, regardless of our sexual orientation, regardless of our gender identity, right? Like, this is for people that are curious about spiritual self-development, and that curiosity kind of negates any rigidity you can have with this work. So that's why we're here and who this is for, my friend. I will say, with that said, who this is not for is people who are expecting perfection. Yes, I'm here in a teaching capacity. I do hope that these podcast episodes can be many lessons for you. I do hope to share, my wisdom and knowledge and some cool things that I've learned. But at the end of the day, I'm still human. I am not at all perfect. I am not at all here to be your wellness guru. I think the concept of being a guru is really fucking weird. I think you're the master of your life and I'm the master of mine. And I'm simply here to open the door for some new perspectives for you to try on and see how you feel. I'm human. I am not here in a state of my opinion is the best one. I am not here as the master of all spirituality. I am not here with the mindset of, well, this is the way I'm going to tell you spirituality is done and that's the right way to do it. Like, no, that's odd and doesn't feel good. That's not the capacity I'm here in, my friend. I am not perfect, but I am human. And this is real life shit. It's real life modern spirituality from a real life human shaman who does not care to mask her humanity. So if that sounds like it's something up your alley, you will probably enjoy wherever this podcast takes us. Now, as we move through this journey together, as we move through all of these episodes, I hope that you feel some sort of goodness by the end of each episode. I want these conversations to bring out a sense of hope in you. I want you to feel more curious. I want you to feel more courageous. I want you to feel empowered by the end of an episode. I ultimately kind of bringing us full circle, I ultimately want you to feel less alone. That was the entire reason why Lonewolf District was birthed and conceived in the first place, was for the lone wolves of the world to feel less alone. And that is what I am hoping to achieve with this podcast. Now, I want to say, if you would like to be, right, because no pressure, but we have this beautiful community within Lonewolf District, and it started with a few people in person, and then the pandemic hit, and now, 7 years later, we've worked with hundreds of people across multiple countries and 5 different continents. Like, you're not doing this work alone. We have a really, really beautiful community here, and I say that to say, even if you go no farther with Lonewolf District and you are simply a listener here, I hope you know that this community is here for you. And I want you to feel like you can be a part of something that's bigger than yourself, even if that is simply humanity. So I think I'm going to pause us here. I feel pretty complete in that. Again, I could write you a whole novel as to how Lonewolf District came to be. But I think for the sake of a podcast origin story, I think I've given you the information you need to decide if this is a journey you want to continue with or not, my friend. So I'm gonna end us here. I want to invite you to follow along. If this resonates with you, if you're curious about where this is going to take us, follow along in the podcast journey. I invite you to follow us on social media. We are Lonewolf District most places. You are welcome to send in feedback, send in questions on spirituality. Is there a specific topic you want to know more about? Let's dive in together. And if it resonates with you, share it with your people. I'm excited to see where this takes us. But in our next episode, I believe we are going to dive more into my journey to shamanism. I've shared more about the journey of Lone Wolf, but I think it's important to share how I became a shaman. I am one by birth and by trade, but I did not claim that title up until a few years ago. So we'll dive into my origin story next episode, and then from there we get to go head first into the concept of spirituality. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Welcome to Lonewolf District, and I will see you on the other side.